God doesn't make mistakes, and he doesn't give you a vision that is too big for you to achieve. So whatever your financial goals are, wherever you are right now, you can always be somewhere better. You can always be somewhere different. Pray, listen to what he has to say, and wishing you all the best.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Wealth and Christ podcast show where we inspire the masses to become financially free while building God's kingdom. On the podcast today, we have Ms.Jacqueline Schadeck. Ms.Jacqueline Schadeck is a certified financial planner who partners with individuals and family to help them gain financial clarity. So thank you for being here, Ms. Jacqueline.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing today?
Great. I'm excited to share some things about wealth building and a little bit about my story with my journey through Christ. And I hope that this helps somebody who's listening.
That's great. That's great. So how did you get started, with your journey of building wealth?
So my journey of building wealth starts back in Northern California, where I grew up on a 1,000-acre ranch. It's actually kind of cool to think back on it because sometimes you don't notice things when you're in the midst of them. But I didn't realize that, my family had generational wealth at the time. I didn't know that that's really what that was. My grandfather, great grandfather had gone across the U.S. during the 1849 gold rush. And so he had claimed that 1,000-acre land that we had. Now, the reason why I'm a financial planner is because the property was sold out from under us, long story short. And so my mother received an inheritance of a little over $1 million and unfortunately lost all that money within the time span of about 4 years. And I had a lot of questions about that. I didn't understand, and I couldn't find anybody who could explain it to me. So I decided to become the person who understood it. So that's why I'm here today.
Wow. So how did you feel to know that, that kind of money was lost, and there's no way to have any account of it, what it was used for?
It didn't feel good. It didn't feel good. It was unfortunate. Going back, there was a whole perfect storm of issues. And moving forward, I really try to help people avoid that perfect storm of issues, right? So as a comprehensive financial planner, I try to make sure that you've covered about 8 different areas of financial planning topics. So pretty much think anything that touches your personal and financial life, any kinds of questions that people have that relate to finance, I help them answer that and find the best solution to their situation or problem.
That's well said. That's well said. So in regards to your personal journey, outside of being a certified planner, how did you use that experience, to start helping you start investing and understanding points of financial freedom?
So it's interesting. The whole situation of losing everything happened when I was so young. I was early teenager. So my entire life has pretty much been that of a financial planner. So in my journey of understanding finance, it's funny, I don't know when exactly we'll drop this, but I'll turn 29 in a few days. And I'm sharing 29 financial lessons that I've learned in 29 years. And there's a lot to be said there, but I think the key is honestly staying focused on whatever is most important to you financially, right? So we all have different goals and aspirations, and I think social media really tells us to build these goals that are somebody else's and to focus on this thing that isn't even something we really want. So I think it's very important that we get super calculated and dialed in on what we want financially, and then really focus and go after that.
That's well said. And I guess, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you had to overcome in this journey?
Biggest challenge, I think it was that just learning what I wanted for myself, and not peeking around at others and saying like, oh, this person has this, so now I want that, right? Staying really true to what I want. And so the best way for me to have done that was I kind of stumbled upon it. It wasn't intentional, but for those who are listening and they're trying to build wealth and they want to be intentional about it, the biggest thing that you can do is become a minimalist, okay? And I know that sounds crazy, but with minimalism, you really understand quality over quantity, and it really forces you to hone in on what's important to you. And when I started to do that, and I realized like, oh, just because, you know, back then it was like Wet Seal, just because Wet Seal is having a sale, 5 for 10, doesn't mean that you need to buy all 5, because you probably don't need all 5, right? You probably actually need one really good one of whatever they're selling. So if you can find that one really good one, it's probably going to serve you better than 5 not so good ones. Right. So understanding the premise of minimalism and how it translates over into your finances and how it translates into appreciating things, right? Like, I think a lot of times we take for granted the gifts, the blessings that we've been given. And we think, oh, we need more, we need more, we need more. When the truth of the matter is, God blesses you with a little bit in the beginning to judge you, to judge your trustworthiness, to say like, okay, I'm going to give you this. Can you take care of this before I give you true riches, before I give you more? So I think that it's very important that we hone in and get very comfortable with managing just a little bit.
Yeah, that is well said. And I definitely want to ask a question based on, let me repeat my question. So my question is, oftentimes social media, you see like, people reach a certain status, reach a certain level, it's almost, they preach this almost abundance. Like, if you have this money, why don't you just buy whatever you need to buy, and you get multiple, and you have all these things that you're not necessarily using. And, and the same thing, listen to this interview, it was talking about how, because what poor people, we want to identify as rich, we also like do certain things, we buy multiple cars. So how can someone avoid making that mistake, if that's what they see as, defining wealth, as being wealthy?
I think there's 2 things. I think one, you have to define what wealthy means to you. So literally writing that down. And then 2, I think you need to cut distractions from your goal. So when I was building the bulk of my wealth, I actually wasn't even on social media, which I feel like wasn't good because it wasn't allowing me to help other people. But I think that I really needed to focus on helping myself first before I could help others. I think that that's always key in life, and it's key in money and building wealth. And so I think that the first thing that somebody needs to do is write out what wealth means to them. And then 2, cut the distractions, right? So unfollow the things that are not helping you reach your goals. And I think somebody needed to hear that. Unfollow the things that are not helping you reach your goals. The shade room, probably not helping you reach your goals, right? That person you had beef with in high school that y'all kind of got this thing on the internet, you might like this, you see, like, no, just unfollow that, unsubscribe to that. You don't need that drama in your life, okay? So get really clear on what is a distraction for you and cancel those distractions, because when you are distracted, opportunities are going to, distractions are going to look like opportunities. When you're distracted, distractions are going to look like opportunities. And what it's actually going to do is be pulling you away from where you truly want to go and where you truly need to build and where you truly want to be at. Those distractions are going to look like opportunities when you are distracted. So be careful.
Wow. No, that's a bar right there. That's definitely a bar. And I want to go more into your journey. You say you took some time off social media. So was there any resources that you used during that time to help educate yourself, so you can help build that wealth that you desire?
Yeah, the only social media that I took part in was YouTube, right? Like there was no Instagram, TikTok wasn't even popping back then. I wasn't really on Facebook. So there was, YouTube is a different kind of platform where you can go for actual education. So that's where I went for education, right? I wasn't super heavy in the comments and all of that. Like I literally was just on there, like focused on my craft, focused on wealth building, was trying to just bring in everything that I could about that, listen to different people's philosophies and make sense of what made the most sense for me. So I would say you probably need to cut off these other forms of social media. If you're not using them for business, you can take a year off from them and you'll be fine. I promise you, I did it. You can take a year off from them. You'll be fine. Your friends will still be there. The person from 10 years ago in high school will still be there, right? Your crazy uncle will still be there. you can take some time for yourself to focus in on what you really want. Because if your energy is distracted and pulled in too many different ways, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, like it's a lot, like it's too much. Okay. And you need to understand, are these apps using you, or are you using these apps? Because when you allow these things to come in and distract you, that means that you're letting these apps use you and you're not using them.
That's well said. That's well said. So a question that just came to my mind, because yes, we cut the social media out. You get focused on yourself, but you yourself can be your own distraction. So how do you, in that journey, avoid yourself being a distraction? Whether it's procrastination, whether it's making excuses that why you can't achieve this goal, because that all can all be distracting from you achieving your goal.
Yeah, I think it's key to know that I'm human just like everybody else is human, right? And the only way to elevate is to create a new environment for yourself. So a lot of people will say, oh, you need to be disciplined, you need to be disciplined, you need to be disciplined, which is the answer, but the how is the question, right? Like, if you feel like you're stuck in the same place, then you need to change your situation. You need to change your environment. But the how is the question. How do you do that? Right? And that's really the hard part, is the how. So a few things that you can do to change your environment so that you can build discipline. Because if we don't build discipline, what we do is atomic habits. We fall to the level of our systems, right? We don't fall to the level of our habits, because people are like, oh, you need to build discipline, you need to build habits. No, you actually fall to the level of your systems. So if everything is set up for you to fail, for you to be distracted, then when you fall to the level of your system, which we all do, that means that your system is going to be leading you in the wrong direction. You want your system to lead you in the right direction. So for example, let's say that you're wasting too much time on TikTok. One, if you're not using TikTok to actually build your business, to build money, to build an understanding of new things, if it's not bringing you any wealth in any type of a way, you probably need to just delete the app. Right? And I know it sounds hard, but just delete the app. If you have that much social media anxiety that you can't delete the app, remove the app from your home screen. Don't make it somewhere that's easy to click, right? Readjust your phone. So I actually have a freebie, the 5 financial apps that you need on your phone. The reason why you need that is because you're on your phone all day, every day. So if you reorganize your phone to work for you instead of working against you, then you would be falling to the level of your system that is pointing you in the right direction. So it's really key that you, one, readjust your phone, right? You probably need to readjust things in your house, right? You're worried about, oh, I watch too much Netflix, I watch too much TV. Look at your house. Everything is probably set up for you to watch TV, right? The TV is right in front of the bed, makes it comfortable. The remote's right there. It's too easy, right? Same thing with your living room. Your living room is probably set up for you to watch TV, right? And then you're mad that you're always watching TV. Why? You set up that system for you to funnel yourself to watch TV. So readjust things, reorganize the house, put the couch in front of the TV. Right? Like, these are things that you need to readjust to help you fall to the level of a system that's pointing you in the right direction, right? You don't eat healthy. Like, this is something I struggled with. I was just eating a lot of fast food and it wasn't helping me, right? So I created a new system. And so on Sundays, I always juice. I listen to my sermon, right? I go to the farmer's market and I'm set up for the week, right? That system is setting me up for success. Whereas if my system was, well, I'm gonna order out a couple of days because it's gonna make things easier for me, then I'm falling to the level of a system that's pointing me in a bad direction, because it's pointing me to make impulsive decisions, right? So it's creating a system that points you in the right direction.
Wow. That is definitely dope. And that leads me to say, as your journey as a financial planner, what would you say is the biggest mistake people make in regarding to building generational wealth?
I think trying to rush things. I think it's important to understand that God's timing is perfect. Mm-hmm. Right? God's timing is perfect. And when you try to rush God's timing, you usually end up hurting yourself. You end up hurting your wealth building journey. right? And so understanding that God's timing is perfect and he doesn't give you more than you can handle and he doesn't make mistakes. I think that those are all key pieces that I wish I really would have understood earlier in my journey and not tried to rush certain things and do things kind of the backwards way that, you know, honestly caused me to lose money, right? Because I was rushing things. I wasn't listening to God's timing. And so I think that it's just very important that you pray on decisions before you act on them and you really listen.
That's well said. That's well said. And that leads me to ask, you talk about, you praying, you listen to sermons, you're getting yourself ready throughout the week. How did your faith, guide you and help you in this journey of reaching financial freedom?
I think that my faith was there in times that I was really tested, because I think that we all look at somebody who is our version of successful or our version of what we want to be, and we think, oh, they didn't have any trials and tribulations, it was so easy for them to get there, they're so well spoken, they know everything. And the biggest thing for me was to continue praying and to continue getting the word that says you're worthy, because everything in life tells us that we're not worthy, right? I had an actual person in my life tell me that I couldn't be a financial advisor because I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't articulate enough, I was never going to be able to do it. And so I carried that burden with me for a while, right? And a lot of times other people won't see the vision, right? Other people won't see that you're supposed to be X person, that you're supposed to be this six-figure earner, that you're supposed to be a millionaire, that you're supposed to have an eight-figure business. People won't see that. People won't see the vision, but God won't give you a vision that you can't fulfill. So I understood, at least to that extent, that God's not giving me a vision that I cannot fill, right? God is not giving me the ability to become a certified financial planner and help other people if that's not something that I could do. So I think understanding that God has a bigger vision for our lives than even we can understand, that was a really big piece of staying, just faithful to my faith.
But that's definitely well said. And I wanted to, quickly talk about something you just mentioned, that you said people won't see, who you're going to be or, the end goal. And oftentimes that's the reason why people don't start. So how were you able to overcome that mindset that you won't be this outspoken certified financial planner and actually continue to affirm that, what God gave you, the vision God gave you, and not get distracted, not feel like you're not worthy, like you said.
I literally was like so exhausted from comparing myself to other people, to other what I call successful financial advisors. I was so exhausted. I was like, God, please lead me in another direction, because this math ain't math and it's not working for me. And so literally, like, I listened and he was like, one day at a time. He was like, one day at a time, one step at a time. Like I said, I was trying to rush it and I was trying to be on step 20 when I really was on step 1. And I was trying to skip all of these other steps. And God was like, no, one step at a time, one presentation at a time, one paid gig at a time, one financial plan at a time, one person at a time, one family member at a time. Literally, your wealth will be built one step at a time. And so I tried to just jump and skip to step 20. And he kept telling me one step at a time. Okay. And that was really key for me, understanding and listening to what he had for me and staying persistent.
That's well said. That's definitely well said. And in this current economy, what would you say is 5 action steps people should take to better themselves financially?
5 action steps, that's a lot. Okay, so 5 action steps. Step number 1, this is going to sound typical, but you have to build a high income skill set. And the reason why I say that is because a high income skill set is recession proof. And as we head into our next recession, you're going to want to be able to make money no matter what's going on in the recession. Okay. So it's very important that you focus on a high income skill set. High income skill set. It doesn't even have to be something you go to school for a long time. Like we think of like doctors or attorneys. It can be something as niche down, as specialized as Google ads for doctors, Google ads for attorneys, right? Learning that very articulated system. Everybody is doing a podcast, is doing a YouTube, like has video content, right? So learning how to edit video content, huge. I pay my editor so much money, it's crazy, right? So that's a high income skill set. That's something that's still going to need to be done even when we're going through our cycles. So number one, get a high income skill set, okay? Then there's a few other things that you can do for your financial literacy. One would be tap in with me on social media at Jacqueline Plans, either YouTube or my podcast or my Instagram, right? Like if you went through my Instagram and just read literally everything I have up there, you would be so well educated. It would be insane. So that would be another one. Number three, read books. So if you go to the link in my bio and my Instagram or Twitter, I have investment books that you should read. You can click on that link and it will take you to a list of my recommended books. All of that's going to help with your increased financial literacy. Okay. The fourth thing that I want you to do is if you have an investment account already, I want you to go to that investment company, which is your Robinhood, your Charles Schwab, your Vanguard, your TD Ameritrade, whatever it is. I want you to go to that brokerage, go inside of your account, and you literally can click the tab that says like research or studies or whatever it is. You can click that tab and there's going to be a wealth of information and you can literally just read through all of that information, right? And the fifth thing that I want you to do to increase your financial literacy is ask questions. A lot of people don't ask questions. So you watch a full YouTube video for 20 minutes and you maybe understand something, maybe don't, and you're scared to ask a question. Write in the comment what your question is, right? Ask questions, write somebody in their DM, right? All of these things are important for you to grow your financial understanding. And these are just action steps that you should take in order to become more financially literate.
Wow, that's definitely well said. And I want to ask, what are some questions people should be asking, so they know they're on the right path? Oftentimes you said you can be doing so many different things because you're trying to reach this goal of financial freedom, but because you don't know what you don't know, it will always hurt us and make us stumble back.
Yeah, literally just ask anything that comes to mind. If you don't understand it, ask the question. Like we grow up in like middle school, high school, and you're so judged and you're so worried about what other people are going to say, and you don't ask questions. And when you don't ask questions, you don't get answers and you're left without understanding. So something that I learned in being a financial planner was some of the richest people in the world ask a lot of questions, whether it may be dumb, not dumb, whatever it is, they ask the question. So I would just say, make sure that you are asking questions.
That's well said. And I want to ask this question in regards to financial planning. I know the importance of having a great team. A great team of people who understand finance and can guide you in the right path. So what are some key, I guess, teammates or positions you need to have on your team fulfill so you can grow and reach this financial freedom?
I think a lot of times for those who are beginners, we think that we need this full team of people. We think that we need, a financial advisor and CPA and all of these people, when a lot of times all you really need is yourself. You really need to trust in yourself. That's the first thing that you need to learn to do, is just trust in yourself, right? And then from there, as you start to build that high income or that high income skill set, and you can afford to hire a financial advisor, you can afford to hire a bookkeeper, you can afford to hire a CPA, right? That's where your team would move. If you're an entrepreneur, then you would look at hiring a business attorney, right? So it's just really important to start with you and your knowledge, because if you want to be the best client and you want to have the best advisors and the best attorneys, you really have to be the person that could do literally everything yourself, but you choose to outsource it. You choose to delegate it, right? To a professional who that's all they do all the time, right? So like for me, for example, my attorney, like I know I could draft up the contracts and do all the things, right? But my attorney is specialized in that. So there's certain things that he can do to just add the finishing touches on things that I could actually do myself, right? So that makes me a very good client for him, because he doesn't have to do a lot of, hand holding and, oh, well, you need this and I need to explain that. No, like I completely understand it. So it makes it a lot seamlessly to go through the process, and it makes my life a lot better, right? And so it's really important that you yourself have invested in your own knowledge first before you worry too much about building an outside team.
That is well said. And that's not something you hear a lot. Building yourself first. So I guess when would you say is the right time in terms of income or network to actually look for a team, um, based on your experience?
I think everyone's situation is different. Um, but once you have a business that's making substantial money, which meaning you have over, $75,000 in profit, or your business is making, or as an individual, you're making, 80,000 to six figures plus, depending on where you live, is an ideal time to reach out for guidance and assistance. Additionally, if you're not making that much money, you have the what is it called? The National Association for Financial Planning. They're I'm trying to think. I think that's not their technical name, but there is a nonprofit that provides financial planning. So you literally can have a conversation with the financial planner for free. That way you can kind of get on the right track.
That's well said. That's well said. And I know you talk about, some non-traditional ways for people to build wealth. If you could just drop a few that people can do right now or look into as machines to build their wealth, what would that be?
So as a certified financial planner, we don't actually teach people how to build wealth. That's not one of our core standards. And so I'm like, yo, I'm non-traditional because I'm out here talking to people about how rule number one is to get the money first. We want to talk about managing and budgeting and saving. And it's like the first thing you need to do is build wealth. And so there's a ton of different ways that you can build wealth. Real estate is a very tried and true way to do that. And then you have other options of different side hustles that you can do, right? You can build a podcast, you can Airbnb, you can Turo cars, right? All of these are different ways for you to get more money so that you can get money and buy income, meaning that you can buy more assets. So I think it's really key that we're focused on building wealth and getting the money first.
So why is that important? Because you usually hear the opposite, like you said. Like, why is it important to get the money first, then worry about solving the problems you need the money for?
I mean, if you don't have the money, then there's nothing to budget, there's nothing to manage, there's nothing to invest. So you've got to figure out how to get the money first.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I guess my last question would be, once you did reach, your goal, desire of financial freedom, how do you continue to remain disciplined, keep the minimum lifestyle and not get caught up, in what the Joes are doing and things of that sort?
It's really important to stay focused on your goals, right? It's so easy to get distracted, but you know that what got you there won't keep you there. So you have to find new ways to do things, new ways to invest, focus on the things that are most important for you. And I think once you've built up that financial discipline and you've realized I don't have to go buy all of the things to live a full life, I think you'll understand that a lot better, and you'll be able to stay focused on what's really important to you.
That's what I said. And I guess this question, because I keep thinking I'm asking, what if what is important to you is not really adding any value to you financially? Whether it is, you care for a friend or something like that, or you have a significant other, but they kind of be like a hindrance from you reaching your financial goal, or whatever it may be, what if it's not really adding to you actually becoming financially free?
Yeah, life is all about balance. And so it's about finding that balance between being able to love others and give to others, but also making sure that you've taken care of yourself first. And so as I was building wealth, the way that I did that was I would use my credit cards for every purchase, right? And then I would pay off my credit cards, and I would allow those credit card rewards points to build up throughout the entire year. And then at Christmas time, I would make sure that I'm using that as my budget to give my gifts. So I was still able to build wealth with all the money that I had coming in, and I was able to use my rewards and bonus points to gift out and give to others, right? And there was still some smaller they're giving throughout the year, but it was really just me staying focused in on my goal of like, hey, I'm trying to do X, and once I do X, then I can help everybody else with Y. But until I accomplish what I need to do for myself, I can't really give to others, because if there's nothing in here to give, then there's nothing to be given to anybody else. So it's just really important that we're focused on what do we want to use to grow for ourselves before we start trying to grow for too many others. There's an actual term for this. It's called the black tax. The black tax is the tax that young professionals pay for being the first wealth builder in their family. And so what happens is you get the bag, and then all of your family wants to come get part of the bag. And the problem is, if you don't invest that bag first and allow that bag to keep growing, then what you guys end up with is just a really, really shrunken bag. And so it's important that we're focused on not falling victim to the black tax, making sure that we have built up the proper reserves and investments that we need for ourselves before we're focused too much on giving to others.
That's well said. That's well said. If you could have any closing word of wisdom, what would that be for the listeners?
My closing words of wisdom is that God doesn't make mistakes, and he doesn't give you a vision that is too big for you to achieve. So whatever your financial goals are, wherever you are right now, you can always be somewhere better. You can always be somewhere different. Pray, listen to what he has to say, and wishing you all the best.
That's well said. And where can people find you to stay in touch with you?
You can find me on all the social platforms at Jacqueline Plans, JACQUELINEPLANS.
And happy birthday in advance for those who are listening. I hope you guys definitely take some notes and take some action. Don't listen to another podcast, another guest on the podcast. Actually take some action. And if you're looking for a community of Christians who are working on reaching financial freedom without compromising their faith, look no further and join the Pray and Invest group on Facebook, where you can interact and network with people with the same mindset as you. And stay tuned for next week's episode. And thank you again, Ms. Jacqueline.
Thanks.